Welcome to video number 239. This is lecture number 13 on globalization and trade in a series of lectures on introductory macroeconomics. So today we will discuss globalization and trade. The question is, what is globalization? Globalization is the spread of products, technology, information and jobs across national boundaries and cultures. In economic terms, it describes an interdependence of nations around the globe fostered through free trade. The question is, what are the gains from international trade? In what sense do barriers to trade protect American workers or domestic workers and companies? What are the costs of globalization? Are the costs worth it? We start with absolute advantage. A country has an absolute advantage over another country if it can produce a given product using fewer resources than the other country needs to use. Absolute advantage can be the result of the country's natural resource endowment. For example, Saudi Arabia has a lot of oil. There is another concept, and that is comparative advantage. Comparative advantage means when a country can produce a good at a lower cost in terms of other goods, or when a country has a lower opportunity cost of production. The question each country or company should ask with trade should be, what do we give up to produce this good? Absolute or comparative advantage. If Ryan can make more tacos in an hour than Suzanne, but Suzanne can make more tacos at a lower opportunity cost, then Suzanne has an absolute or comparative advantage. So you have to mark the correct answer. What happens when a country has an absolute advantage in all goods? It's typical that for high income countries, they have well educated workers, technologically advanced equipment, etc. These high income countries can produce all products with fewer resources than a low income country. If the high income country is more productive across the board, will there still be gains from trade? Trade is about a mutually beneficial exchange. Even when one country has an absolute advantage in all products, trade can still benefit both sides. This is because gains from trade come from specialization in one's comparative advantage. These two diagrams shows mutually beneficial trade with comparative advantage. When nations increase production in their areas of comparative advantage and trade with each other, both countries can benefit. The production possibilities frontier is a usual tool to visualize this benefit. The production possibilities frontier shows the maximum amount that each country can produce given its limited resources. These are how to calculate absolute and comparative advantage. You can go through these steps. Trade and income. Income depends on labor productivity. A country with an absolute advantage in some products has higher labor productivity. The average income in a country depends on its average labor productivity. Comparative advantage is more important than absolute advantage in understanding which country should trade which product in order to maximize the standard of living in both the countries. The prevalence of intra-industry trade between similar economies. The theory of comparative advantage suggests that each economy should specialize to a degree in certain products and then exchange those products. A high proportion of trade is intra-industry trade, trade of goods within the same industry from one country to another. The benefits of having workers with similar skills work in other parts of the world. The division of labor leads to learning, innovation, and unique skills, and then there are economies of scale. Gains from specialization and learning. Specializations in the world economy can be very finely split. In fact, recent years have seen a trend in international trade called splitting up the value chain. The value chain describes how a good is produced in stages. Instead of production in a single large factory, all of the steps of production can be split up among the different firms operating in different places and even different countries. Because firms split up the value chain, international trade often doesn't involve whole finished products. Intra-industry trade between similar countries produces economic gains because it allows workers and firms to learn and innovate on particular products. Economies of scale, competition, and variety. A second broad reason that intra-industry trade between similar nations produces economic gains involves economies of scale. The concept of economies of scale means that as the scale of output goes up, average costs of production decline. The horizontal axis of the figure shows the quantity of production by a certain firm or at a certain manufacturing plant. Advantages. The concept of economies of scale becomes especially relevant to international trade when it enables one or two large producers to supply the entire country. International trade provides a way to combine the lower average production costs that come from economies of scale and still have competition and variety of consumers. Large automobile factories in different countries can make and sell their products around the world. Greater competition brings with it innovation and responsiveness to what consumers want. Dynamic comparative advantage. The sources of gains from intra-industry trade between similar economies. The intra-industry trade, the level of worker productivity is not determined by climate or geography. It is not even determined by the general level of education or skill. Instead, the level of worker productivity is determined by how firms engage in specific learning about specialized products. In this vision, comparative advantage can be dynamic. It can evolve and change over time as new skills are developed and as the value chain is split up in new ways. Here is the demand and supply analysis of international trade. And there are two countries, one is Brazil and the other one is United States. The diagram on the right hand side shows the domestic supply and demand of the United States, and that on the left shows demand and supply domestically in Brazil, and then it shows what happens if they trade with each other. So we can use the theory of supply and demand to further understand the benefits of international trade. We consider these two countries which produces sugar. If international trade between Brazil and the US becomes possible, firms will want to buy cheap in Brazil and sell it at a higher price in the US. Protectionism. Globalization has brought fear of loss of jobs and loss of income, which are often described as the race to the bottom. Globalization has spawned fears about loss of culture. Many countries worry about their cultures being overwhelmed by that of the United States and the Western Europe. When a government legislates policy to reduce or block international trade, it is engaged in protectionism. Protectionist policies can seek to shield domestic producers and domestic workers from foreign competition. For example, the Trump administration's tariff on steel and aluminum in 2018 were a recent example. Barriers to trade. Protectionism takes three main forms. Tariffs, which are taxes that a government imposes on imported goods and services. Import quotas. These are numerical limitations on the quantity of products that a country can import. Non-tariff barriers are all other ways that a nation can draw up rules, regulations, inspections, and paperwork to make it more costly and difficult to import products. The trade-offs of international trade. The common belief among economists is that it is better to embrace the gains from trade and then deal with the costs and trade-offs with other policy tools instead of no trade at all. Most people who live in the market-oriented economies would oppose trying to block better products that lower the cost of services. The economic analysis of free trade does not rely on a belief that foreign trade is not disruptive or doesn't pose trade-offs. Disruptive market change happens when an innovative new product or production technology disrupts the status quo in a market. The potential for gains from trade may be especially high among the smaller and lower income countries of the world. From interpersonal to international trade, we all benefit from living in economies where people and firms can specialize and trade with each other. The benefits of trade do not stop at national boundaries. The divisions of labor could increase output for three reasons. Workers with different characteristics can specialize in three types of production where they have comparative advantage. Firms and workers who specialize in certain products become more productive with the learning practice and then because of economies of scale. These three reasons apply from the individual and country level right up to the international level. Reducing barriers to trade. At the end of the World War II, there was a consensus that tariffs were too high worldwide. Tariff reductions could stimulate international trade and return the world to a thriving peacetime economy. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, that is GATT, was established in 1947 by the United Nations to provide a forum in which nations could come together to negotiate reductions in tariffs and other barriers of trade. In 1995, the GATT was transformed into the World Trade Organization. The GATT process was to negotiate an agreement to reduce barriers to trade, sign that agreement, pause for a while, and then start negotiating the next agreement. The World Trade Organization, which is committed to lower barriers to trade, and the world's nations meet through the World Trade Organization to negotiate how they can reduce barriers to trade such as tariffs. WTO negotiations happens in rounds where all countries negotiate one agreement to encourage trade, take a year or two off, and then start negotiating a new agreement. Like the GATT, before it, the WTO is not a world government with power to impose its decision on others. The total staff of the World WTO in 2013 was 6 to 9 people, and its annual budget was $196 million. Regional trading agreements, these include free trade agreements, common markets, economic unions. The best known of these regional trading agreements is the European Union. For the United States, perhaps the best known regional trading agreement is the North American Free Trade Agreement, that is NAFTA. Long-term barriers to trade. Through all the controversy with trade policy, the general trend for most of the last 6 years is clearly toward lower barriers to trade. Although measures of import quotas and non-tariff barriers are less exact than those for tariffs, they generally appear to be at lower levels. A number of technological developments have made international trade easier. The result has been powerful surge in international trade. These are some of the quick review questions that you can go through. Here are some more for quick review. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, kindly do subscribe and do not forget to click on bell icon so that you can get timely notification about other informative and useful videos that I'll upload for you. I thank you very much for watching this video. See you in another video soon. Thank you.